Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Al Gettler here, live with you. Hey, it is a really good day. I also often tell you in the beginning that I'm here in Vermont. Where right now it's snowing. It's absolutely picturesque and really a perfect Vermont winter day. I kind of have fire helmet hat today because I'm a volunteer firefighter here in town, and we had a logging truck go off the road. So we've had an exciting morning. But also I'm excited because I've got my Vermont mittens here. These are actually Bernie Sanders sweater mittens, not the actual ones, but these are the very same recycled sweater mittens that have now become famous all across the internet. And, I'm so excited because it's such the rage. And my friend, Mark Fortier, who I worked with in the newspaper business years ago, he's with a television station down in Boston. And Mark, gave me permission here to just throw this up on the screen and talk a bit about the fact that, Bernie is just all the rage. And, look, we're proud of Bernie and his showing up very casual-like with his mittens on the way to the post office, as people have been saying. It's very funny, but so there's Bernie in the mittens, given to him actually by a Vermont school teacher. So we're pretty proud of that, actually. I think it's a pretty cool thing that she did that. So anyway, I love these too because my wife has given a pair of these to every one of our daughters. And then I just caught on to the whole thing of mittens in the wintertime. I was always, He-Man glove guy, and we go hiking out in the woods, and mittens are the bomb. So Bernie, I mean, dude, the world's just catching up to you, man. That's all, just catching up to you. Anyway, hope you're having a good week so far. I am, and I'm happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here with a guy who I have had as a guest in the past on another platform. He's just a wonderful burst of energy. He's becoming like part of my Disney posse, if that makes sense. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let me bring him out here right now. His name is Lee Kitchen. Hey, Lee.
Hey.
How are you, brother?
I'm great. How you doing, man?
Good. Is that okay to say you're part of my Disney posse?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the whole Bernie Sanders meme. That, to me, that's why the internet was invented, right?
Exactly right.
So great, dude. So great.
And I would have had more time to grab some memes for the show today, but I had that call this morning. But my favorite so far, they're all been great, but Angela from the Office has a podcast. Her name is actually Angela. She also played Angela.
Yep.
And she took all scenes from The Office and put Bernie in the scenes from The Office.
Oh, it's so great.
There's just
so many, and then so many options, right?
Well,
I get all the cat memes too with all of that stuff. It's so great.
They're all coming. They're all coming. It's great. Someone says they're here for it. Hey, LinkedIn user, go ahead and give StreamYard permission to show your profile, and you can show your profile. Or if that doesn't work, just tell us who you are, and we'll say, hey, you're present and counted for, right, Lee? But good stuff. So, Lee, I call you the Disney posse. Let me explain that, and then I wanted to get in specifically what you did for Disney. But I've had a number of great Disney people who have been my guest over the years. Lee Cockrell is the original, back when I had my Leader Be Led.
Legend, man.
Yeah, he was in my Leader Be Led series back in the early days of ancient YouTube, where we didn't know what we were doing, but I think we almost invented Zoom back then. We didn't even know.
Do we know what we're doing now? I still don't know what we're doing.
Absolutely have no idea.
I learned it from Disney. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just act like it at all times. Right?
Exactly right. My wife says, what are you doing in there? I say, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But, anyway, it's called Al Gettler Live. That's the best I got for you. So, but anyway, Lee Cockrell. Then got to know Dan Cockrell. Down at the Magic Kingdom when he was down there, and that Dan is the son of Lee, and Lee was the executive VP of Walt Disney World Resorts. Then I've gotten to know you and our good friend Barry Jacobson. So it's like a posse.
You got a great lineup so far, man. Those guys.
Oh, and you guys are just always too good to me. Great stuff. So Lee, let's take a minute. Let's talk about, first of all, where you're talking to us from, and then your background, and then let's get into the creativity, what you've got going on. You always have ways to share creativity with teams, so I want to jump into that. But let's give some folks some background.
Well, I am right now I'm live in my Canada studio, so I'm feeling some of the cold that you are. It's actually sunny outside here, so that's pretty exciting. Got all the windows open, so I get that sunshine in here.
That's great.
But like you said, I was a 32-year Disney cast member. I left in 2017 to start my own business called Magical Dude Consulting, and now I go from place to place to help people become more creative, to help embed creativity and innovation in their day-to-day. I also, I'm a practitioner of it too, so I actually will take people through projects to help them come out with a different result. And lucky for me, I get to work with a lot of different kinds of businesses because the design thinking model that I use is applicable like to so many places, both personal and professional. So it's really great to just take it wherever I go, and it really inspires people. So something I really love doing. I love bringing out the creativity in everyone, because we're all inherently creative. Sometimes you just need to skill up in it. So I love teaching people those skills. And so I live part-time in Florida and here in Canada. So I get the best of all worlds.
You're in the wrong place at the wrong time, Lee.
Yeah, I know that. My Canadian friends tell me the same thing because all my neighbors in Florida are Canadians snowbirds, right?
Yeah,
right. Why are you going up there in January? So the things we do for love, right?
I know, that's just exactly it. And COVID's obviously changed a lot too. I mean, that's the whole deal.
Absolutely.
So, no deal. I don't know if you saw, but speaking of Barry Jacobson, love reading out Birdie Mittens, shout out. Yeah, so there you go. Barry's such a good man. So great to have him joining us today. That's fantastic. So, I love you call yourself the magical innovation and creativity dude. Now, let me ask you a question. Did you have to apply for that position, or was it just, regally named?
It's kind of like self-imposed. So I did that specifically because I wanted to indicate the magical part because I spent so many years at Disney, right? And so with Disney, it's just there's a magic that comes with working there and the experience that I got there. And I made sure I put dude in the title because I'm a casual dude. I'm a California native, for crying out loud. So I've been saying dude since I was 15. And so I want to make sure that people know that what they're getting, right? I'm really a casual, simple guy that's going to help you, get outside of your box and really think differently. So I thought it was a good kind of matching of the two things. And the great thing about it, Al, is I actually just got approved for my LLC. So I'm officially Magical Dude Consulting LLC. Woo!
Wow. On this side of the border or that side of the border or both sides? What's cool. So tell me something, Lee. When you were at Disney, what was a typical day like in your position at Disney? What did you last do there? What was a day like?
So my last 10 years at Disney, I was an innovation catalyst as part of the Yellow Shoes Creative Group, which is our in-house advertising agency. And in any given day, I could start the day by delivering a thing we call Creative Couch, which was an inspiration report we did to inspire everybody. We collect a bunch of different things that were inspirational, and we reported out. An hour after that, I could be meeting a group of people to help them with scoping out a challenge that they were doing. And then in the afternoon, I could be gathering together a bunch of consumers with our consumer insight team to do an empathy session to make sure that we really stepped inside of our consumer shoes. And of course, we would end it with a couple hour brainstorm. We had this really great place called Ideate in the building that I worked in. And it had all dry erase walls so people could write on the walls and stuff. And we gather, 10 to 20 people there to brainstorm whatever challenge there is, put a bunch of sticky notes on the wall and come out with a big idea.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, it was a great gig. Definitely couldn't complain. It was a really sexy gig.
Well, I understand that too, but it's not something everybody can do. I mean, that's one of the things that needs to be realized. And but then again, your message is that really, when it comes to innovative and creativity, if you let your hair down, if you relax, you can be creative. So today, let's talk about what teams could think about. We're here at home. We're not all working together in the same spot. We're not in a dry erase situation. I was famous for the giant 3M flip chart pads.
Oh, yeah, dude. Everybody is. Those are great.
All around the world, the room and all that stuff. So how do we do it today? How do we use the technology that we have in a creative and innovative way?
Yeah, and that was my struggle, almost a year ago when we all had to go into hiding, basically. So how do you take a medium like Zoom or Teams or something like that and bring people together? Because it's not like it is in real life. So what I try to do is I try to make sure that I treat it like we're actually in the room together. So, just making sure that I call out everybody and everybody's kind of present. I do what I do in a normal session in person. So I set up rules in advance. I call it signaling. So here's kind of the 4 rules that I want you to do. I want you to be positive and open-minded. I want you to make sure you share the air with other people and let everybody talk. I want you to be all in, right? So turn off your email program and try not to be distracted, because we need you for the time that you're here. And I want you to have a little bit of fun. So I set that up right up front. And then I usually have a pretty tight agenda that we stick to, because it's hard to keep people's attention long in this medium. So we have to get to the stuff really quickly and just get busy really fast. I use the breakout rooms a lot to make sure that both introverts and extroverts can say their ideas together, because again, introverts don't like talking in front of a lot of people. So putting people together just like you're in your living room is much easier for everybody to make sure they ideate. And I've started to use virtual ways to capture. So things like Mural and Mira and Google Docs. Frankly, I've been using a lot of Google Docs to just do the immediate capture, and that way people have their ideas right after they talk about them. So it's kind of a combination of things. It takes a lot of prep work to do it. Actually, it's harder work than actually doing the stuff in person. I have a suitcase that has all my stuff. When I show up, I bring up my sticky notes and my Sharpies, and I've got all that stuff, and I've got prefab, flip charts. But here, I got to prep all that stuff in advance and make sure it's really tight and ready to go, because we got stuff to accomplish.
I remember when we talked the last time, for part of our ANC show, that you had a backdrop that was virtual, but you had all your sticky notes.
Yeah,
it was very impressive.
Yeah, sorry, I tried to use that today, but Chrome wouldn't let me for some reason.
Oh,
so it green screen.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's cool. Well, so getting back to working with a team right now and this creativity issue, and you talked about energy. I think that's the thing, that when people have Zoom burnout, right? There's not a lot of energy given to Zoom, especially from the leaders. You can't just have a meeting anymore, because the meeting has to involve people in their environment, right? So dog barks. I love there's a Folgers commercial with the kid.
Cat butts. There's always cat butts.
Kids going back and forth like that, trying to get in the mom's camera shot in the commercial.
And every now and then the kids will come up and ask for help for something. That's just the world we live in right now, right? Right.
But that requires so much energy from the leader of a meeting. So how do leaders focus on that? And how do we turn those kinds of meetings into something that is, innovative and creative and on task?
So a couple things that I do that really help me out, and that is I'll always send the rules or the guidelines in advance. And things like, I need everybody to show their video, right? Because we want to make it as in real life as in person. I need to make sure that you're well lit and your microphone works and we can hear you. Make sure that you bring some notepads and paper. So I tell everybody in advance a couple times what to bring and how to prepare for something like that. And then during the meeting, I actually physically make people do something physical. Sometimes it could be stand up and dance, or sometimes it can just be doing arm exercises. But one of the things that we did in a live format is we get people up to do energizers, and we do it on purpose because we want the blood to keep flowing to your brain, because that's where we need your energy from. So if I used to see people kind of nodding off at a meeting, I would definitely get them up to do something physical to make sure we were still moving. And I do that about every 10 or 15 minutes. Just a little quick jolt, a little quick energizer to send people back in to create stuff. So it's again, thinking about it beyond, a lot of people think about the Zoom and the Teams kind of thing as more passive, and mine is definitely more active. So if you show up at a session of mine, you can't just turn off your mic and turn off your camera. I want you to be all in, and I want you to be as interactive as everybody else, because it affects the whole meeting.
I agree with you 100%. In fact, I'll take myself off for a second, put myself on. I was doing some training the other day, and I came back with this. And,
that's great.
And the reactions
like that, it seems
the double
silly.
take, just the double take from people. Are they really seeing what they're seeing? It's really, to me, it's kind of fun. And
I've
There
got
you
Elmo
go.
with me, so I pull out Elmo for an acronym that's enough. Let's move on. So if you see me pull out Elmo, it means that we need to keep the conversation going. So yeah, I come stacked with stuff like that too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Enough. Let's move on. Well, I'll bring out one of my friends later on. We'll get really cuckoo and creative. So
Yeah, I know you're a puppeteer, right?
I do it all, but yeah,
That's awesome,
I got
dude.
too much going on in my life, Lee. And so Lee, when it comes to creativity, especially, people often say, I'm not the creative type. I'm
Yeah.
not creative. Don't have a creative bone in my body. What do you say to people like that on your team when they throw that at you?
You know, it's hard to combat that because they've been taught that their whole professional life. So there's, and it starts in the corporate world where we give titles to people that are creative and people that aren't creative. But inherently, we're all creative because somehow we figured out how to get through college eating top ramen and making it fancy every time, right? Somehow we all got dressed to go to work when our dry cleaning wasn't done or our laundry wasn't done, and we put on an original outfit. So we have it within us. And it's just a matter of creating some confidence and, again, creating some skill around it, because it's not a skill that comes easily to some people. So
Right.
if you get the skills and know kind of how to help yourself think like that, you can be really good at it. And I think a lot of people compare themselves to people in the creative industry. So if somebody is a copywriter or an art director, they are practice creatives, right? So they have to come up with ideas on a daily, if not hourly basis. So they're really good at it because they do that all the time. So a lot of us aren't practice creatives. So we have to actually, it's a skill, right? It's just like playing an instrument. You have to practice it. And the lateral thinking tools that I teach in my workshops and that are readily available, out on the internet are really great ways to force yourself to kind of get out of that normal way of thinking and think about something differently.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I think that's what's great. Joshua is saying hi, by the way. And if you saw that.
Josh is a fellow innovation catalyst who is currently in Grenoble, France, getting his PhD. So, Josh, thanks for joining us, man.
Well, Josh,
I see Larry out there, too. Thanks for joining, Larry. Another great Disney partner, Larry.
Oh, awesome. Good. That's right, Larry. I do know that. And here you go. I use Lee's technique of putting all the off-camera people in one breakout room.
Yeah, I do that. So I will separate those folks out. If they don't want to show their camera, I'll put them together with the people who don't want to show their camera.
That's great.
Some people have their reasons, and I'm not knocking them for their reasons, but
right.
I don't want to have to defer those people who did come kind of ready to go. And so I kind of separate them out. I had to actually do that in a brainstorm too. So a lot of times in sessions I did at Disney, you would have executives that came in that were totally married to their ideas. So instead of participating in the lateral tools, they were just trying to sell their one idea. Mm-hmm. So I tended to put those executives together and let them hash it out so they wouldn't kind of ruin it for the other people in the sessions. They never knew that I did it, but I definitely did it.
Oh, that makes total sense. One more thing someone said too. So often energy needs to be talked about even for the in-person meetings, and energy certainly when we get back to in-person meetings. That's a great question this person brings up. I wish I knew who the user was, but we are going to eventually get back to and I hate the term new normal. I don't know, it just irks me, but things are going to be changing rapidly. There's two things I'm hearing, of course, and that is, we are going to go back to life in a kind of a different way, and technology is going to play a role and not help, business travel. I think people are going to be the pent up, demand. That's the other term that I hear a lot. That Disney World, Disneyland, any place we can go to be around people. We are a people, we like to be around people as human beings, all my performer friends right now were just, sidelined. It's really difficult. But eventually it's going to bust open. But when it comes to meetings, to this person's point, how is the energy going to change? What do you think the pressures are going to be? Put yourself in the situation. You're in front of your first audience after the pandemic is
and you might have part of the audience live and you might have part of them online, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
A lot of school teachers have that now. A lot of school teachers have some kids that are in the class. My daughter-in-law is one of them. She has to teach a set of kids in the class and she has to teach a set of kids at the same time that are actually logging in virtually. So it's a big challenge.
Well, and for people like you, Lee, I mean, you're very natural in front of the camera. You're very natural in front of a live audience. You're just, it's just you're natural that way.
Thank you.
other people are not natural at one or the other or both. And so, it does require them to gain that skill. Any tips on how you can help someone make that leap if they have to be in that situation, especially of,
So I think of meetings and get-togethers both virtually and regularly the same as hosting a party. As a matter of fact, I actually offer a workshop that compares a brainstorm to a party. And when you're a host and you host a party, when someone comes to your house, you don't just open the door and walk away, right? You greet that person. Hey, great to see you. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for your contribution, right? That's super easy. And also, before you even did that party, you sent them an invite and said, hey, make sure that you bring something if that's the kind of party that you're having. So doing something, one thing that I love when people do is sending an agenda in advance is great because I know to be prepared. So there's a contribution that I could make because I see it in the agenda. So I'll come prepared. Using those guidelines in advance. Hey, this is how we're all going to behave today. Please be ready to behave like this when you get there. And then being courteous when people enter the room and just welcoming everybody and bringing that presence. I see a lot of people not doing that in the Zoom area. And you really should do it the same. I will always greet every single person that comes in, even if it's like 100-room meeting. I will call those people out. A couple of reasons. One is I want to make sure that they know I might call them anytime, so they can lean forward, right?
Right.
And I just want to make sure people feel appreciated that they're there. And those same rules apply to an in-person meeting. And I used to love it that we had some really great people at Disney when they would do roadmaps that would prep people in advance for what to expect and also when to ask questions and those kind of things. The rules aren't when you go to a meeting, a lot of times you don't even know why you're there, right?
Right. That's a whole other problem.
And so just leveling the playing field and kind of getting the rules out in advance and just being courteous and being a host really goes a long way.
But not knowing why you're there, that's a whole other problem.
Oh,
if you show up at a meeting and you don't even know why you're there, I'm sorry. Go out.
That was rampant at my last corporate job for sure.
Oh, go out and buy Patrick Lencioni's book, Death by Meeting, and get over yourself. It's like figure it out. So, hey, by the way, we had our LinkedIn user identified, Nancy. I don't know why.
Hey, Nancy.
Yeah, but that's strange. It's not happening. And she says she's not sure why, but obviously Deborah, and Deborah, we're so glad you're here. For Lee's appearance today. Fantastic. Got a lot of fans, Lee.
Thank you.
So going back to that whole thing about not knowing why you're in a meeting, to me, it's such a disrespect of people's time. Absolutely. Not to prepare people for why they're going to be there, especially if it's going to be brainstorming or innovation or creativity, number one. But number two, agendas aren't even as important as purpose. But then I really do think too, and see if you agree with me on this. I think managers, they're all types. There are people who are not as outgoing as gregarious as you and I. They're more introverts. But I think we always have to have, when you're in front of the room, a performer's heart in mind. You can't be in front of a group of people either on Zoom or in a room, I believe, without a performer's heart in mind. Tell me what you think, how you react to that whole concept of being a manager with a performer's heart in mind.
It comes easy to me because at Disney, you're always on show, right? There's on stage and there's backstage, right? And so anytime you're ready, you have to be what I call show ready, right? Show ready is you're ready to greet people, you're ready to start the meeting, you're ready to acknowledge everybody. So that I totally agree with that. It's just being show ready and ready to go. And I think that a lot of times in the corporate world, we're running from place to place so much that it's hard for us to kind of get it together. Yeah. So for my meetings, I would always do it the night before. I would make sure that the night before I prep for it because I knew that I would only have 10 minutes in between the other meeting that I had to get ready for it. Right. And another thing you said prompted me is one of the things that by just prepping people in advance for what you expect, you get the best out of people, right? Because you're inviting pretty high-end people to your meeting, and you want them to contribute. So if you're running it, it's your bad if you don't say, hey, this is how I'd love for you to contribute, because then you'll miss out, right? You won't get the best out of them. So I always make sure that I prep those folks because I know, number one, their time is valuable, and number two, I know that they have awesome contributions to make. So I want to make sure I set them up for as much success as possible, because it's only going to make me look good when I'm done creating ideas or whatever I'm doing. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
It's a really important thing. Again, hard to think about in the corporate environment because you're moving so quickly, but just a little bit of prep the night before, little quick email or message, however you message stuff, goes a long way.
Well, and the night before, I mean, that's all another thing we can do. Let me just give our folks a few shout outs here. Emily says she's the one that commented about the breakout room, and she adds to this, Emily Nicholas.
Hey, Emily.
Yeah, so there you go. And then Deborah or Nancy, Deborah says, I can see you too. So that's great. So yeah, we're having a little LinkedIn connection problem apparently of having people's profiles show up. So I do apologize that StreamYard is not connecting that way. But anyway, we will get your comments up there, drop your name, and we would love to do that. The preparation the night before, Lee, I'd love to hear you say that. And I'm actually taking Bob Iger's masterclass right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it's, masterclass is a brilliant platform, but he talks a bit about what an amazing schedule. He was up, if he was in Anaheim, he was up at, and going at 4:15, exercising to the office by 6:30, 6:45. Yep. But what I loved about what he said was, he got out of the office at 4:30 in the afternoon because he still had a couple of kids at home, and he wanted to be a part of their lives. But I'm coming around to the night before. But then he talked about those couple of hours when the kids were doing their homework and the house was quiet after dinner. He did a couple more hours of prep work and work for the next day. And I think for people who, I'm just going to say, give a crap, you got to think about your next day the night before. Or otherwise, I think you're cheating the people out that you're leading. And especially when you're doing what you're doing, when you're bringing people together to innovate. Yeah. So if you could say something to managers about that, even if it's 15 minutes prep the night before, what are the things they should be thinking about, especially if they're going to jump into a meeting and try to have a brainstorming session, work to innovate and be creative?
Yeah, I'd think about making sure that you know who the players are that are going to be there, right? And in the case of a brainstorm session, I'll invite 5 experts and 3 non-experts to make sure I get a good diverse amount of thinking. Again, I'll send them the rules and the way that I want them to show up the next day. I'll reiterate that if I haven't already done so. And I'll make sure that, I'll check to make sure that, I actually will socialize it. So if I haven't heard from them via email, if I'm pals with them, I will really text them, say, hey, hope to see you at the meeting tomorrow. So I give it a little bit of a personal touch too, because I want to make sure that they know that their presence is important to me, right? So it's not just the surface level email. I'll make sure I'm like, hey, I'm talking to you person to person here, and I know you're probably really busy, but oh man, I really could use your contribution the next day. And that's a difficult thing to do, to communicate with 20 different people in 20 different ways, but I find a lot of success in that. I actually do that I told you I started to do a DJ stream on Friday nights, and I'll text my friends individually. I'll send out 40 texts to people saying, hey, I hope to see you at the party tonight. And I get more turnout then than whenever I post it on Instagram or Facebook. When I do more of an in-person thing, it's more meaningful, right? Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. And in fact, we talked a little bit about what this whole thing is that I do with my live show, and the engagement of that. People do need to be told a couple of times to think about joining in, being a part of it. A lot of people watch this stuff after the fact, and I'd love to get them here live. So I'm with you. In fact, I want to bring up something. You this one thing's going to lead to another and to another. You mentioned your DJing. I'm going to share our screen. You have a project going on with one of your other Disney innovators, and I'm going to go ahead and share that with the viewers here. You have. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Let me go back to the. No, that's fine.
There we go. Yeah, and tell us about this and what it is we're looking at here.
So Sean and I are working on a project called Brainstorm in a Box, and it's basically going to be a subscription service to help people become innovation catalysts. So not every business has an innovation catalyst, and sometimes, usually, either the person that's on the creative team or the most outgoing person gets the job of running a brainstorm. So they're not, they don't have the years of experience that we do. They haven't been through the classes with IDEO and Accenture and Mind Camp and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to offer people a way to kind of skill themselves up to be able to run the stuff that we do. And one of the things that we started doing to support this new effort is a thing similar to what we used to do at Disney. We call it Inspiration in a Box. So the first Friday of every month, we gather together about 15 to 20 slides, and it could be a range of a new trend or a new product or a different way to do an old service or something inspirational, and we present it and have a little conversation about it. And really, it's just to inspire fresh thinking, and you can take it to do and let it inspire you the way it inspires you. So there's no particular outcome we want from our viewers. We just want it to, hey, if it inspires something else, go for it, right?
Yeah.
When we used to present this at Disney and we'd host a session nearby, we'd have a lot of people like, hey, I saw that toilet paper ad that you showed us, and that totally led to this really big idea. And we were like, well, cool. It came from a toilet paper ad. So, I mean, ideas can come from anywhere, but a lot of times we just don't have time to get exposure to those new things because we're too tunnel vision and busy doing what we're doing. So we offer that as like, hey, if you can't get to your Pinterest feed or you can't get to any other inspiration, join us for an hour, and we'll give you some inspiration to go on the rest of the month with.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Nancy says creative couches were my favorite at Disney. I'm so glad to have IIAB. Is that right?
Yeah, Inspiration in a Box is what we call it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Nancy is
she's on top of it. Much smarter, Nancy, than I am. Also, someone said when you talked about inviting people, tomorrow's Friday. Once again, looking forward to the DJ stream, Lee, Emily. So there you go. And Claudine says, look, he's on point. He invited me, and I'm here. You've got to invite people.
I did, Claudine. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And another guy that's kind of in my group, and a guy that I'm actually going to be talking to tonight on a live stream, Steve Axtell. You'd love this, Lee. He runs a company called Axtell Expressions. He's a puppet guy. He's an animatronics guy. He's extremely innovative, and he's just a super guy. And you'd love some of the things he's doing. But yeah, the concept.
Right as you said that, on my screensaver on my other screen, a picture of Babu Frick came up. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I got a screenshot. So that had to be a cool animatronic, the Babu Frick character, right?
Boy, I'm telling you too. And I realize you're not with Disney presently, but hold on a second. They keep on coming. JT Mass is here. He invited me too. So there you go.
Thank you guys.
That's good. I feel like I'm on a reception line for Lee Kitchen. But but what's going on with Disney Plus is just, it's fantastic to see. And I'm watching all of the extras that are on Disney because, of course, we get so caught up in The Mandalorian. And then the making of, and what?
Yeah, did you watch WandaVision yet? Come on.
I started watching it. Yeah,
it's so weird, but it's so good at the same time.
Oh, it's first of all,
no spoilers though. Sorry.
When I first started watching, I'm like, what in good's name is going on here? And then you catch on, and of course, I've seen some previews, so I know where we're headed.
Yeah.
But very, very cool.
I dive even deeper. I watch all the nerd videos with every Easter egg. I'm totally nerd like that. Every Star Wars movie or Avenger movie, I always dive into all the Easter eggs and all that stuff because I use that stuff up.
And that's what's great about it. I mean, look, Disney's a story company. Innovation and storytelling is what you guys are about. When I talk about the masterclass with Iger, he talks about the acquisitions of Pixar and Marvel. And just moving forward with storytelling, and even the networks now, the Net Geo and A&E and the different and of course Lucasfilms. It's all about storytelling. It's all about innovation, and it really stays on that theme. And I absolutely love that. So I want to get back for a second to your innovation in a box and what you're doing. And we're going to see. I didn't try this ahead of time, but I'm going to bring everybody where I went to last night because of Lee. You brought me to Twitch, Lee. Before I push the button, tell everybody what Twitch is, because some of us who are not gamers, we're not familiar with Twitch, and what we should expect.
So Twitch is a platform primarily for gamers to stream their while they're playing games. So some of the most popular Twitch folks are people that play Minecraft, and there's 28,000 people watching them play Minecraft.
God almighty!
It's like incredible. And I noticed that I told you that my DJ stream was kind of my COVID hobby gone wild. So I've always wanted to, I've been a DJ since 1986. I sold my turntables in '97, and I haven't really looked back, but I really miss it. So I bought a new DJ controller, and I thought, hey, let's try this. And when I was looking for platforms, I noticed that there were a lot of other streamers that were using Twitch for that purpose. So I jumped on. It's a great platform. They're owned by Amazon, so there's a little bit of difficulty right now with the ASCAP and BMI and those kind of copyright stuff. So I can only play my stuff live, but if you go back to watch it like later, it's usually muted because of copyright stuff. So I'm still looking for a platform where I can play and my recordings can still be saved and I pay the right licensing for it, because they don't pay the licensing, unfortunately. But it's a really popular platform that is like transforming into something different. And it also was super easy to set up and use through OBS. So I found it, I tried YouTube, I tried Facebook, and I found that was the simplest connection that I had. And I also had a couple other DJ friends that kind of helped me promote it. So I find that a lot of my folks that come to Creative or Inspiration in a Box will say, hey, you made me cooler because I'm on Twitch now. So, it's an interesting platform. A lot of people are doing talk shows out of it. A lot of people do anything from my good buddy, Gerard Marino, who's a music composer out of Los Angeles. He did the music for the God of War series for PlayStation. He does music composition there. So he'll actually open it up for an hour to showcase how he writes a song. Right, or how he composes an arrangement of music, which is just amazing to watch. And there's a lot of people who have expertise who are also kind of doing that there in kind of a little bit more of a free form. And it's, so far so good. I don't know how long I will stay there, but it's working so far for us for both Inspiration in a Box and for Beats Party Magic. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I finally got it up here on the screen here. Just a shot of you in action.
That was our special holiday episode.
Yeah, it's great though. And to me, I love it because it introduced me to not a new platform. I've heard of Twitch, but I'd never been on it. So I have to say, you put me on my virgin flight to Twitch, which a pretty incredible world.
Well, I expect you to see you at the party tomorrow night at 9 Eastern.
9 Eastern. All right, I'll be there if I'm not asleep already.
And you have to stay awake until at least 10 o'clock when we have what I call shot o'clock, which is basically toasting the week. And so we'll get rid of all that. If there's any negative energy, we'll get rid of that and we'll toast to a great weekend. So it's kind of like it's a tradition that we do. And another reason why I wanted to start the DJ stream, Al, is I was telling you about that giving people fresh input to me is really important to be able to think differently. So the nature of the way I play music. So I'm a super eclectic music fan. I like anything from dubstep to Bollywood to classic rock and roll to 80s alternative, right? And I love just mixing it all together into one big show because a lot of people don't get outside their comfort zone when it comes to music. You tune to that same XM station, or you have that same what do you call it, Spotify playlist that you go to. So I want to give people some fresh input on that aspect and say, hey, if you don't have time for fresh input, you can show up every Friday night and you'll hear some music you probably never heard before, and embrace it and enjoy it, and let's have a great time.
I love that. And in fact, the other night, regardless of what your politics are, my wife and I are just patriotic people. We just, we love our country.
Oh, absolutely. I was balling all day yesterday.
And the NBC programming last night where they featured musical acts, and when we got to the Latina gentlemen, especially who, and some of the music that just we were not as familiar with, to me it was just brilliant. That is, my wife said, that is our country. That is our country, and we have to,
and being open-minded and positive about things like that is what keeps us together. Which is why I find like one of my best communities is a group called Mind Camp, mindcamp.org or Mind Camp Connect. They are a diverse community of people from around the world, and they're also somewhat world traveled. And I find them to be the most open-minded people. Yeah. And I find that positivity and open-mindedness leads to great ideas and great innovation.
There you go. You brought it home.
Connected. So when you do get turned on to music like that, it's like a revelation. It's like, wow, how did I not know about Mark Anthony before, right?
Yeah.
Never in my life I listened to the 2 pop songs back in the 90s, and now I'm like a huge Mark Anthony fan just because I got into salsa, right? So it could totally just opening your mind a little bit to new things can really open new doors. I love it.
Well, Lee, I have to tell you, it's kind of a sad story. My daughter is now, 18 years old and got her license, a year ago. And my favorite time of day was morning and afternoon when I drove her to and from school and we listened to popular music. and and she introduced me. I feel like I'm in a vacuum now, right? But I would hear all kinds. And we got into the habit of going to, to like iTunes or Spotify or and listening to what was top on the list and rating them thumbs up, thumbs down. So I absolutely loved that. Barry says, diversity is the essence of creativity.
Absolutely. Could not agree more.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know if you saw this before too, but Larry said definitely check out your DJ party. And then a little swipe from Steve Axtell. Am I cool enough for Twitch? Steve, I can answer that question after clicking around last night.
I think you might be, Al. I think
no. Last night, maybe these will help a little bit, but after watching some of the stuff I saw last night.
Al, you know what? I think that Twitch would be a perfect platform if you want to do one of your puppeteering shows. So you probably start a creative show like that and just – And my fiance taught me this great phrase last night. It's I'm not gonna think of it. It's like show up how you expect to be later kind of thing. I forget the exact phrase, but it's the same thing. I didn't want to do that DJ feed until I was totally ready. And my buddy Gerard was like, dude, just do it. Yeah. And I did it unprepared. And it's funny because when you see my first broadcast, I'm totally clueless and I'm basically broadcasting to myself. But I had the best time and I'm so happy I just did it. Right. So I didn't have a whole lot going. I just started it, and then it became something. So
it's really important that you say that too, especially when it comes to creativity and innovation. Sometimes you are broadcasting to yourself. I did shows.
I'm doing that. I'm my own best audience.
I feel like that all those days. But that being said, by the way, I love this. On a Friday night, I wrote a whole workshop of 30 minutes listening to Lee's DJ feed.
Oh, Emily's awesome.
Yeah.
Emily is also, I'm going to call her out, but she also is an expert at hula hoops and these little spinning things that she does that light up. So she will actually, she's in her own performance. She does that to kind of keep herself good at both hula hoops and doing those.
Emily, listen, we have to have you on here, and we have to have you do your hula hoops and your light rings. Connect with me on LinkedIn. It's really easy. It's my name. So that's great. Larry says also that you are a great salsa dancer. Is that correct?
That's funny because the last happy hour I did was a month ago for a German school, and by the end of the party, they had heard that I had taught a group how to bachata. So I taught 30 people on Zoom how to bachata. And it was hilarious. Everybody played along. They all stood up and danced, and it was awesome. It's really the easiest. It's easiest of the Latin dances for gringos to learn, in my opinion, because it's just 4 moves in each direction. So if you want to start somewhere, Al, you should start with bachata.
All right, I'll have to do that.
Salsa is muscle memory. It takes a little bit more.
I had salsa last night sitting at the kitchen counter. Guys, we could talk about 2 different things completely.
Then you might actually become a Mark Anthony fan like I am too.
That's right. Well, Lee, you just have an energy, man. And I think getting back to the theme of and by the way, I hope we can have you back.
Oh, I'd love to.
You get that great tree behind you going and all that, but. I think more than anything, creativity, innovation, it comes down to energy, and you just got a fabulous energy about you, and I appreciate you so being here today, and all the folks that joined us today as well. It is always great to connect with you, and I hope to have you back real soon. Whenever you are ready, you just give me a shout out, and we'll do that. But I want to be respectful of your time today. We're coming up on 45 minutes, so I want to make sure that we let you go and do the things you got to do today.
Awesome. Well, I hope to see you at the party tomorrow night.
Well, listen, I feel like I have no choice. I got Larry, and we got Emily, and I've got Nancy.
Larry at the party tomorrow night too, Larry.
Yeah. So I've got all these people who are going to be on me. Who was the other person? There was JT Mass too.
Oh yeah, JT.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of pressure here.
I met JT through Dan as well too. Dan's got a great community called The Perch, which if you're not a member of, I strongly suggest it because again, it's a diverse group of people that are really kind of helping support each other, and it's pretty great. I love being a member.
Yeah, of the community. We have to have Dan back. He was here. Actually, Dan was my first LinkedIn Live guest.
Oh, nice.
The day I got approved, I called Dan and I said, "Hey, your book's coming out today or tomorrow. Why don't you come on and talk about your book?" And that was the first one.
Nice.
So yeah,
we have to talk later about that LinkedIn Live thing because they still haven't approved me. It's been like 3 or 4 months, so you must have really been on the horn with them a lot.
It's a great mystery of how to get approved, and I'm just honored that I am. I try to treat it with great. Let Larry's making me laugh because I've got to multitask here. Bring your glasses.
That's funny.
You know, that LinkedIn Live is just something that, you know, really is coveted, and I'm so proud to be here, and I take it very, very seriously. As you know, I do most things every day, have great guests like you, so I hope you do get approval because I think you'd be fantastic.
Thanks,
And Claudine says too, the purchase is so epic. So this is good stuff. And you got to go to Beats Party Magic. So
thank you.
Yeah, you go from Joshua. Fantastic, good. Well, Lee, thank you so much. You know, this is going to be a goodbye for now to the audience. I am going to have you head backstage so I can say a proper goodbye to you. But I'm going to sign off with the audience here in a second. So you hang out backstage.
Awesome.
We'll chat for a few
Thank you, guys.
minutes.
Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thanks for being here, Lee. Take care. Bye. Wow, man, I'm telling you, that guy he just absolutely charges me up. He is just a ball of energy and a fun guy, and I look up to him a great deal. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. The show today was brought to you by Bernie Sanders mittens, made here in Vermont. These are actually my wife's mittens, but when we saw Bernie on screen yesterday, we were just absolutely, and I love all the memes that have happened since then. It's great stuff. And thank you all for being here today as well. I really appreciate it. If you joined us for the first time, my name is Al Gettler. I do this Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for the most part here on LinkedIn Live. Shows up also on my Facebook page. And you can find all my past videos collected on my YouTube page, which is just my name, Al Gettler. I want to thank you for being here today. Be safe, and we'll be here next week with another great group of guests. And until that time, here goes the outro. Take care.